I have a special friend in the house. I want to introduce him to you. Steve Bartlett. Great guy, great public servant, great grandfather. His career spans finance, business, public policy. True grandfather. He has served in the House of Representatives. He's been the mayor of the city of Dallas and the president and CEO of Financial Services Roundtable in Washington, D.C. Steve is currently a senior advisor with Tree Lion Risk Advisors, a leading regulatory compliance consulting firm in the financial services industry. His work in the philanthropic sector includes leadership roles at Operation Hope and the National YMCA. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a true pleasure to introduce my buddy and a fellow grandfather, Steve Bartlett.
Thank you. I must say, following Kate and Kelly and Alana and Larry, it's quite a challenge. So I'll just say amen, and we'll go watch the game. No, I will say, as I confess to you that I have some mixed feelings. I'm at once, by the task tonight that Atul has asked me to take on, I'm at once overwhelmed and exhilarated and humbled by the challenge that I've been given. I'm somewhat intimidated because of the success of opportunity to date. So I'm not going to talk about the success to date. I'm going to talk about the success in our lifetimes looking forward. My challenge this evening is to describe what I call the big picture. That is to lay out a roadmap, a vision to end extreme poverty in our lifetimes, and to describe opportunity's role in that mission. So I'm going to start, and let me say I will have you out by the seventh inning, including questions and answers, okay? I want to start with two big words that are personal to me, and that is thank you. Thank you for Opportunity International, and thank each one of you individually for what you have done and what you will do as you have launched this extraordinary mission. We've already started. You know the statistics. In the last 5 years, Opportunity has profoundly changed the lives of over 10 million individuals in 22 countries, and in most cases ended the vicious cycle of extreme poverty for those individuals and their families, and often their neighbors and their fellow church members. Good start. I mean, a really good start. But the truth is, you ain't seen nothing yet. Ending extreme poverty in our lifetime. You all remember the great management guru whose name was Jim Collins, and he had what was called a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. The Grand Canyon of all audacious goals. It is big, it's audacious, and it is indeed hairy. But hear this. This can be done. It can be done. This can be done in our lifetimes. Now, there's a paradox. You know what a paradox is? Something that is both true, absolutely true, and cannot be true at this very same moment. On the one hand, ending extreme poverty cannot be done by Opportunity alone. The mission requires the mother of all collaborations, partnerships on all continents and in all facets of human existence, partnerships with groups that we don't even know yet, and in many cases haven't been created yet. That's true. But here's the paradox. While the requirement for collaborations is true and necessary, it is equally true that success requires a singular, focused leadership by you, by the people in this room, by Opportunity International, to articulate the goal, to assemble the partners, to measure the results, and, I would predict, to keep going when others get tired and find some new cause of the day. So the paradox is this: we can't do this on our own, and we have to do it on our own. That's why they call it a paradox. To the big picture. As I said, I'm humbled by the challenge that Atul has articulated for me this evening. He was very clear, by the way. I'm the number one fan club. I'm in the fan club of Atul. I can't begin to give you all the answers or even most of them, but I plan to set the table to describe where we are and where we can go. I'm going to do this in three parts. First, to offer some observations about the world in 2017, which is, as it is, which is at best changing pretty rapidly. Second, to offer 6 pillars or core values that I believe have to be a part of the mission. And third, and I'm a former congressman, once a congressman, always a congressman, and so I'm used to this, I'm going to invite you to join in our very own town hall, an interactive discussion, a town hall in which you can ask questions or offer your own views. You don't have to ask a question and try to stump me and wait for my answer. It works better if you just give me your answer and let me ponder on what the question should have been. Now, observations to kind of level set where we are in 2017. These are not eternal truths. These are today's truths in a world of change. Fact, global health can be dramatically improved, dramatically. The intersections of new medicines, biotechnology, remote diagnosis, accessible treatment options, new public health systems, clean water, new distribution systems, disease control, all those can accelerate public health in ways that we could not have imagined just 20 years ago. And so 20 years from now, public health, think about this for a moment, can and will be a positive force for economic health instead of a negative force. Now, these breakthroughs won't happen automatically, but a rise in global health is at least theoretically possible. That bright future contrasts starkly with today's bleak and sometimes seemingly hopeless disparity. Now, big picture. The human body is the same in every continent, the same DNA, the same vulnerabilities, the same number of arms and legs and lungs, and the same size brain. But the health outcomes of disparities is amazingly in a negative way. It's the Grand Canyon. 2 examples. This came from Gallup polls. All their stuff is open architecture. In Uganda, Gallup estimates that 6% of the population is healthy and thriving, and 71% is struggling. In Denmark, 82% is thriving, and 17% are struggling. That is a 14-to-1 contrast played out in virtually every country throughout the world. Same human body, vastly different human condition. It doesn't have to be that way. With the diagnosis, the public health, the treatment could work the same for Ugandans as it does with Danes. Fact number 2, technology, and we've talked about it here tonight, accelerates and connects everything. The Internet of Things is the Internet of all things. Artificial intelligence is intelligence. It empowers freedom from drudgery and empowers humans to use their God-given talents and brains and time to be productive instead of just barely surviving. Technology of today and tomorrow is the world of personal technologies. It's, as Larry said, it's handheld devices, it's GPS, it's online college, and so much more. The developing world will be shaped far more, and is being shaped, by mobile devices than by World Bank infrastructure. Bless their hearts, as we say in the South. Third, demographics rule. Here's the downside, the giant risk, the big giant out there. By 2050, the world will have 2 billion more people, and all of that growth, all of it, will be in the high poverty areas of Africa, South America, and Southern Asia. Every single negative trend in this developing world will be exacerbated by that population explosion, unless and until we change the dynamics. 4, this one kind of brings back to Washington, my Washington base. It's no longer about America. It's just not. We can say America first at all the rallies we want, but that's a false and dangerous bravado. The center of economic power has already shifted from the Atlantic Alliance to a combination of Asia, Europe, and America in the developing world. Indeed, China, I don't know how many of you know this, China is already building a second and larger Panama Canal. We don't know that in America, by the way, but they know it in Europe, and they know it in Brazil, and they know it in Mexico. It's also building the new Silk Road, a physical highway and rail between Beijing and London and all points in between. Marco Polo must be smiling from the heavens. Our challenge is not to resist this truth, but to connect this new center of gravity to the southern hemisphere, to Johannesburg and Cairo and Lake Titicaca and Calcutta, to bring the world together, not tear it apart. And last, representative democracy, I regret to say, in the developed world, is challenged at best. As Pogo famously said 40 years ago, we have met the enemy and he is us. Just as much of the emerging world is discovering democracy and pluralism and the rule of law, much of the developed world, look at our own hearts, is seeing democracy challenged in ways not seen in 250 years. Extreme populism, anger, authoritarian-sounding leaders, raw nationalism, anti-immigrant fervor, growing inequality, and nuclear weapons in the hands of unstable governments present challenges not seen since the French Revolution. So, what to do? Where do we start? I offer you 6 core pillars or principles that will be I think should be at our heart of our mission. I stress the interdependence of these 6. This is not one thing. It's not many things. It is the interconnectedness of these principles that matter. One without the others will fail. In fact, 5 out of 6 will suffer and fall short. So, no particular order. First, access to personal technology. It's the accelerator, it's the enabler. It makes everything else possible in real time. I would submit to you that a family in Rwanda can have a bank account only with mobile devices and fingerprint or retina scan. A farmer in Malawi can plant and harvest his crop and sell it only with access to the internet and GPS with his mobile device with crop insurance. Only with that. A shop owner in Nicaragua can stock the store and serve the customers only if she's connected electronically to vendors and to payment systems. It's a requirement. Second, knowledge is power. Now, I didn't say education. I said knowledge. Education is the road to knowledge, not knowledge itself. The essential power that will change the world is the widespread dissemination of knowledge to all genders, all ages, all classes, and all backgrounds. Much of Opportunity's success has been in schools and education, but it's really been in creating knowledgeable clients, particularly through the trust groups, sort of our secret sauce. It's not the schools alone, they're essential ingredients. It's the knowledge in those schools. Third, access to capital and marketplace economics and capitalism. This is Opportunity's core competency. 5 million loan clients in the last 5 years. It's just a beginning. These loans are not static. They're the gift that keeps on giving. They use the genius of the marketplace to renew and recycle and grow that capital, whether it's bank accounts or savings or microloans or equity investments. Capital is essential, not optional, to end poverty. Now, all of our clients work hard. But hard work with no capital is mere survival. It is a continuation of poverty. Work in the fields from sunup to sundown will not produce a crop unless you buy and plant the seeds, and that takes capital. Fourth, the rule of law. As I said earlier, in 2017, democracy is challenged in the developed world, but economic opportunity in the developing world requires the rule of law, as it does elsewhere. That is both human rights and property rights. The reliable expectation that the investment of capital and work and sweat equity will be rewarded and protected is essential to secure that investment. If corruption or criminals or even government can take away what our clients have achieved, I will guarantee they won't stretch near as hard next year. Fifth, health and wellness. The physical health of the population is essential to its economic health. Now, lesson from me as I learned this, I remember a financial education class I taught in Rwanda. I emphasized the importance of savings accounts, and we all do, and I was confronted with the following question, said my friend in Rwanda. He said, well, Congressman, if I have a savings account with $2 in it, my sister will come to my door and ask for that $2 to buy malaria medicine for her daughter, or her daughter will die. So, he said, Congressman, he meant Mr. Big Shot from Washington, D.C., how can I have a savings account? I was really stumped with the moral dilemma of that question. But the right answer for Opportunity is to use all the public health issues we can find, no matter, to answer that moral dilemma so that both the brother and the sister can have a savings account and the daughter will not die of malaria. Convert Uganda from 6% healthy to 60% healthy, and it's a whole new country. And last, not last, but first, faith in God. We are not human beings with a spiritual side. We are spiritual beings with a human side. We all know that religion and faith can take many forms. Unfortunately, and I say as a Christian with some shame, we must admit that much evil has been done in the name of religion, but much of the good that's done in this world is done by people of faith. We're impelled by our faith, and as we live our faith in this mission, our good work is powered tenfold, 100-fold by the power of that faith. As Christians, we're called to this mission. Jesus did not make this optional. We show by our acts of kindness and generosity that we are called by a higher being to be our brother's keeper, to do justice, to love mercy, and to repay evil with kindness. As Kelly said, inasmuch as we have done this for the least of these, we have done it for him. So that's it. Interdependence of technology, knowledge, access to capital, rule of law, good health, and faith in God. We can, and I submit we will, and we must end poverty in our lifetimes. Thank you very much.